ball page with Mike Dunn, David Reeve, and John Kernan is here as well. Stat Guy is also sitting right across the way from us, and we are getting ready to go with Friday night qualifying from Maple Grove. And there's a lot going on here and a lot to pay attention to. There is a heavy threat of rain in the area, and it has rained here most of the week. The ground is so soggy, in fact, that they sent many of the sportsmen home just because they couldn't find a place to park them that they wouldn't sink in the mud. So here we are with that threat. It's cooling down. It's supposed to get cooler and cooler. Makes for a great track. Well, there you go. 84 degrees. What happened to the electronics? Did you take the electronics?
Yeah, I did.
Why'd you do that? We need those.
I tell you, I live about 40 miles from here, and that's all it's done this month is rain. And usually September's a pretty nice month, but right now Jim Underdahl, he makes a nice pass. 694 with a 2 to Chip Ellis is 697. They both move up in position. Jimmy Underdahl had some engine problems in last week in Dallas, but they got it fixed for this weekend.
Taking a look at the weather. Here's the way it is currently. Wow, 68 degrees. Supposed to go lower than that before this weekend is over. Track, you saw it 84 degrees and 96 water grains.
Lower is an understatement. The forecast that I'm looking at right now, just kind of on the Weather Channel, checking it out because I want to know what's happening. They're already saying 80% chance of rain for tomorrow here in the Maple Grove area. They're saying a high of 58. Sunday, we're looking for a high of 55.
All right, well, let's translate that to the track.
I didn't bring enough clothes.
Forget you. What about the track? It's going to get better and better, right? But then it can get too cold, can't it?
Well, if it gets too cold, it goes into that tire shake situation. And wow, look at Wesley Wells. He was hanging on to that thing. And Joe DeSantis, he's moving around a little bit, too. Well, the 707's not going to be quick enough to get in the top 12 because that's Chip Ellis in that spot with a 697.7 if you want your time to advance to tomorrow's qualifying.
And we're still waiting for new breaks into the top 12.
Left side of your screen, Wesley Wells gets that launch off the starting line, but then it carries the front end, and boy, it just starts washing over. At that point, he should have been hanging off the side of the bike a lot sooner, and all he could do was cool. He lifted his foot up so it didn't knock the block over. That's a nice move. Watch it from the down track. Goes into that tire shake situation. Wow, look at that. Nice move.
He got away with it.
That's the move of the race thus far.
I'll tell you what, those blocks hurt if you hit them with your feet.
We're looking way down the track here at Maple Grove. Beautiful facility here. Justin Finley on the Suzuki and Jerry Savoie, also a Suzuki on the line now. You know with Finley, he missed the field 6 times in 12 races. While Jerry Savoie took out Chip Ellis and then Andrew Hines in round 2 a week ago, and then faced Michael Phillips, and that was the end of that thing.
First section of the game, Jerry Savoie didn't make it all the way down the track. Talked to him right afterwards, said he had a little bit of a problem. They weren't sure what it was, but it looks like they've got that fixed, although he's not yet in the top 12. At least he made it down the track in under 7 seconds. I want to get back to something Dave Reeve had said earlier about the weather and the conditions. Talking with Tim Wilkerson earlier in the afternoon, what he told me was this is the worst that he's seen the air here. In other words, the adjusted altitude, the density altitude was much higher than he'd ever seen it here. Plus a lot of water grains earlier today, but he expected those conditions to steadily improve where we'll see some pretty good runs tonight.
Of course, those trees, that's holding in a lot of moisture, but making a lot of oxygen. Matt Gadera and Steve Turkowski's on the line now. Again, these two guys are not near the top 12, trying to get in. Only the top 12 carry over. And speaking of carrying over, part of that weather story is that the weather forecast for Saturday qualifying isn't all that good either.
Well, a lot of the fuel teams also came out too, and motorcycle teams also just get down the racetrack because with the threat of rain, you want to make sure you get a good run and you're guaranteed to qualify. Now remember, we talk about the top 12 carrying over. If tomorrow gets completely rained out, they will take the top 16.
looking for our first break into that top 12. It's a 7 flat for Guidera, and he doesn't do anything with it, and no change really at all in terms of getting in to the top of the field. Well, here comes Michael Phillips and L.E. Tonglet. And how about those barriers for a pro stock motorcycle and what is to come, Mike?
Well, you know, the last barrier is that 200-mile-an-hour barrier.
That's what I'm saying.
That's, you know, I mean, with the cool conditions, it's not going to happen tonight because it's warm in the air, as Tim Wilkerson says. It's just not there. A lot of moisture in there, and that displaces the oxygen to make the horsepower. But, boy, if the cool conditions come in and the rain can stay away, you can possibly see it.
Well, I was talking with Steve Johnson earlier in the week, and he told me 200's definitely doable this weekend. He saw it maybe even Saturday, although, as we mentioned, there's a chance of rain tomorrow. But on Sunday, when it's going to be cool, he thinks there's a very good chance of that. And we already saw Eddie Krawick in the first session today go almost 198 miles an hour. So it's there. Neither
of these guys close to it at all, though they both improved. And Phillips improves the most, goes from 10th up to 7th, one week ago. And the next pair on the line, the Rum Bum Bike. That's Bailey Whitaker on the Buell. And Angie Smith on the Buell, her husband, as usual, helping her out. Angie currently stands in 5th. Whitaker still trying to get into the top 12. Fouled out, Angie did in the first round 1 week ago at Dallas, and is not in the top 10. One of those who kind of enjoys playing that role of being a spoiler and is fully capable of doing just exactly that. You know, Bailey hasn't made O'Field to start the season.
If you go back to that barrier graphic, you notice as the mile an hour was starting to go up, the gap between the barriers was getting bigger. First it was 2 years, then it was 4 years. Now it's getting bigger. We're fighting back for the last one, 1999. But you know, I had mentioned earlier I was looking at this forecast, and I wonder if it is going to be able to get into a condition where we can see that, because it appears now rain's creeping back into the forecast virtually all the time, and that means there's going to be moisture in here. If they get that moisture out of here, that's going to be the key to this whole thing. That's supposed to be pretty breezy as well.
You go down to the basics. The engine can't burn water. That's what moisture in the air does it. So Angie stays 5th. Bailey stays 16th.
So basically what we're saying, we need no moisture and a tailwind, and you're going to get 200 mile an hour.
And a sail. Sail would help.
Downhill track to the within the 1 degree. Yeah, it'll take it all.
You know, and once again, I'm taking some questions and stuff from my Twitter followers, but I also monitor a lot of the drivers and riders. In fact, Jerry Savoie just tweeted, you know, he wasn't good enough to get in the top 12. He says, we'll see what we can do tomorrow. They're going to try and turn up the wick tomorrow to make it in the field if we have qualifying.
Well, coming up next, it will be Sean Gann. There he is. And Hector Arana Jr. ran a career best 682, qualified #1 at Dallas. Stat guy.
A couple stats about the kid. So far in 12 races, guys, he's had low ET at half the races this season. If he could race as well as he qualifies in some of those great runs, he could win a championship. His bike is so quick.
Sean Gann backing away from the line. It's going to be a single for Junior.
That's why I was saying don't be so quick to hand Vincent Nobile that Rookie of the Year. Yet he put another win on the board here, and
he's got trouble here.
Yeah, he does. But keep his place in the points, maybe even going to win that championship. That's going to be wide open.
Well, Gann came out of the first qualifying session 11th, and Arana 4th. That's where they stay. Talking about that battle for Rookie of the Year, these are the logical candidates this late in the season. Remember, though, a year ago, L.E. Tonglet changed everything at the U.S. Nationals. We're well beyond that now. Vincent Nobile and Hector Arana Jr., a 19-year-old, a 22-year-old.
Well, and as Dave said, it looked like a runaway for Vincent Nobile at the beginning of the season, but Hector Arana, especially with that win at the U.S. Nationals, I mean, he's looking really strong right now.
Can you give a half vote? You know, at this point, I don't know.
No fraction.
Which way I would go.
Vincent's got 2 wins.
Yeah, but Hector's been coming on lately. He's got the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals win.
Yeah, that's just one win.
That's not just one win. Hold on, now.
You've never won the U.S. Nationals, Paul. Don't be saying that.
Obviously not. Back at the line, here is Karen Stouffer, who, boy, she just had a terrible problem last week at Dallas. And Andrew Hines. Karen was watching Matt Smith struggle with his bike, lost focus, had a way late reaction.
Yeah, it started with Wednesday, right? Something like that. That late.
Andrew is third. Karen is 10th. And look at that. Big improvement for Karen. She moves up 5 places, up to 5th now. Andrew stays in 3rd.
We're going to take another look at Andrew Hines. Had really nice 60 foot. He was 105 in the first 60 feet, and that's very good for a motorcycle. Look at that. He had to fight it. He was hanging off the left side of it as he was going through the gears right there. Wow, that bike was really moving around. He got it settled down towards the other end, picking the front end up towards the top end. Makes a nice pass move into that, or staying at number 2's position.
Well, here is the 2009 Pro Stock Motorcycle Champion over there on the left. That is Hector Arana. You just saw his son go. And Steve Johnson, former champion as well.
You know, Hector had some pretty big concerns, obviously, with his young son in mind here. This track has a tendency to really kind of get the front wheel off the ground there at the far end of the racetrack. We've seen some really good shots here. That is certainly weighing heavily on his mind for all the young drivers, which, of course, Hector Jr. is. Front wheel comes off here at the far end of the racetrack.
We saw a couple, but not. We've seen some bigger ones in the past, but Hector Arana, nice pass.
But no change in position for either Arana Sr. or for Steve Johnson. Matt Smith and Eddie Krawick. Eddie Krawick set the track record in qualifying session number 1. Certainly is capable. Sits number 1 right now. Matt Smith is down there in 7th. Matt, who had trouble getting his bike started a week ago, stat guy.
Of course, Eddie, his pass was the 5th fastest of all time. He actually tied himself one of the runs from Gainesville. The race where he almost ran 200.
The 07 and the 08 Pro Stock Motorcycle Champion.
Matt Smith did say it was a wiring harness, so we actually have done a tech piece that will no doubt air at some point this weekend to kind of show you how intricate really that wiring harness is.
I looked that over. It's space age stuff. I don't know how you break it.
And you can't change it in a matter of
no, a
30,
couple hours,
45 minutes.
Yeah, it takes at least 2 hours.
So that's why he wasn't able to do that.
Eddie Krawick, 104.65.
Look at Krawick, 683 at 195 miles an hour. Matt Smith with that 691 moves up 1 position, now sits in 6th.
Eddie Krawick on the right side of your screen went 104.5 and 60 foot. That's a very good time right there. But you saw him fighting the bike a little bit through the middle. Still makes a nice pass. 683 to back up that 682 from the first session. He's the class of the field right now.